Projects piling up, deadlines approaching, but instead of tackling them, we scroll through TikTok, binge Netflix, or suddenly decide it's the perfect time to clean the kitchen. Why do we do this to ourselves? The answer isn't that complicated. It's not because you're lazy, and it's definitely not because you don't care. It's because you're human. What if I told you that overcoming procrastination is way easier than you think? But here's the good news. Procrastination isn't something you're stuck with forever. And in this video, I'm going to break down exactly why you procrastinate and how to stop. Spoiler alert, it's not that hard. Let's start by answering the big question. Why do we procrastinate? Is it because we hate working? Is it because we're just not motivated enough? Or is it something deeper? The truth is, procrastination is less about the task itself and more about how our brains are wired. You see, our brains are programmed to avoid pain and seek pleasure. And when you're staring at a big project or something that seems difficult, your brain says, nah, let's do something easier, because it perceives the task as painful or stressful. This is why, when faced with something hard, we choose the path of least resistance. Watching YouTube videos, texting friends, or checking Instagram for the 100th time today. It's not that these activities are more important, it's just that they're easier. But the more we put things off, the more stress builds up, and eventually we end up doing the task last minute, full of anxiety and frustration. Sound familiar? Now let's break down how to fix this. You can't just wake up one day and say, I'm never procrastinating again. It doesn't work like that. You need a plan, a simple step-by-step process that rewires how you approach tasks. So here's how we do it. 1. Break down the task. One of the biggest reasons we procrastinate is because tasks feel overwhelming. If I tell you to write a 10-page report, your brain will panic. But if I say write just one sentence, suddenly it feels doable. The trick here is to break the big task into small, bite-sized chunks. Instead of thinking, I have to finish the entire report, start by just planning the introduction. It's all about momentum. Once you start, it's easier to keep going. 2. The 5-minute rule. Ever heard of the 5-minute rule? It's a game changer. When you feel yourself avoiding a task, tell yourself, I'm only going to work on this for 5 minutes. That's it. Just 5 minutes. The idea is simple. Once you start, you're way more likely to keep going. And if you don't, at least you got 5 minutes done, which is better than nothing. 3. Reward yourself. We procrastinate because our brains crave instant gratification. So why not use that to your advantage? After completing a task, no matter how small, give yourself a reward. It could be anything, a snack, a quick walk, or even a few minutes scrolling on social media. The key is to make the reward proportional to the effort. This way, you train your brain to associate work with positive outcomes. Set a deadline. Now, here's something funny. When you have a real deadline, you tend to work faster, right? Suddenly, that essay you've been putting off for weeks gets done in 2 hours. That's because your brain shifts into urgency mode when time is limited. So if a task doesn't have a clear deadline, create one for yourself. And here's a little hack. Make it earlier than the actual due date. Trust me, it works. Okay, so we've covered breaking down tasks, using the 5-minute rule, rewarding yourself, and setting deadlines. But what happens when you still don't feel like doing anything? This is where a mindset shift comes in. Let me ask you something. How often do you wait to feel motivated before starting a task? If you're like most people, probably all the time. But here's the harsh truth. Motivation doesn't just magically appear. It's the result of action, not the cause. You don't need to feel like working to start working. In fact, once you start, you'll usually find that motivation shows up somewhere along the way. Here's the takeaway. Stop waiting to feel motivated. Start working first, even if it's just for a minute, and watch how your motivation catches up. Remember, action creates motivation, not the other way around. So, to sum it all up, overcoming procrastination is actually easy if you know how to work with your brain, not against it. Break tasks into small steps. Start with just 5 minutes. Reward yourself after each milestone. Set clear deadlines, even if they're self-imposed. And most importantly, don't wait for motivation. Start now and let the motivation follow. These simple strategies will help you conquer procrastination and get more done in less time without the stress. You got this. Check out the additional methods linked in the description below. You'll find different platforms and tips to help you enjoy audiobooks no matter your listening style. If this video helped you, hit that subscribe button and check out my next video for more tips on personal growth.